Hi, listeners. Welcome to another Melting Pot weekly episode. As you know, Melting Pot is a series of conversations with some very inspiring guests. And my very inspiring guest today is Preetika Chawla. Preetika is an actress, but that's not the only way to introduce her. She's also a founder of Final Call Productions, which is a production house. And as she mentioned to me before we started recording, that she's also the founder of Pickle, Shickle, which is, she says, her baby. So let's find out more. Thank you so much for joining me today, Preetika. And I'm really looking forward to everything basically your story.
Hi, Payal. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
Okay, so like I do with most guests, a little background on where you're originally from, and a little bit about your growing up years, and then how you progressed into acting. Is it something that just came to you organically, or is it something that you were seeking? And then, of course, essentially everything about you.
Wow. Okay. Where do I begin? I'm glad you actually asked me where I'm originally from and not where I am now, because I'm an absolute nomad.
Okay.
And I don't even know which city I belong to anymore. But I was born in Delhi. I went off to boarding school in Dehradun when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents lived there, so it was something that was actually like an obvious thing for me to do, go off to boarding school there. I finished school, and I had no idea at that time what exactly I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be related to the media in some way, but I didn't know how. At that time, journalism was a pretty cool thing to do, and so I thought, and they were just introducing that course,
Media.
that media course, and I think Xavier was the only college that had it at that time.
I think it was media and communications or something like that.
Yeah, I forget what they called it. I completely. You see, I'm not a fan of formal education. This is the thing. So I'm forgetting what they called it. Anyway, I thought I'll apply to that college. So I went to Bombay to pick up the form and to hang out with my sister. And I just never came back. I never went to the college, or any college for that matter. I stayed on in Bombay. I started doing theater there. And yeah, I just didn't come back. I got my mom to send me my car and my clothes. And for 10 years, I hung around. I did a lot of theater work, a lot of a little bit of film work, lots of web series work. And then I realized that I really loved production. And so I opened Final Call. We did a web series. We did a few ads for Amul, some really fun ads actually. But producing was not entirely my scene really. It's a crazy world. I mean, I'm doing it very little now. If I can help it, I hire someone to take over from me on production.
But you
But
never
then I opened
thought
Pickle
of,
Shickle.
sorry, you never thought of adding direction to your sort of your whole gamut of experience?
Not as yet. I did try directing a play when I was 24, and it was so bad. It was so bad. I was just like, I should not be doing this.
Right.
But yeah, so no direction as such, but I do workshops, and I work with actors. I'm in the middle of actually studying to be a drama therapist as well. So in that sense, I like to work with people individually, but I don't think I can direct an entire
Okay, so actually,
series or show or film or anything.
so yeah, so to piece it all together, because then the DOP, the actors, your crew, everyone needs to, you need to be in control of all of that. So the different moving parts, right, that make a production.
Absolutely.
And for you as a director, I guess that's not your thing, but that's, I think everyone has their own little strength and have some weaknesses, and it's nice to be able to balance it out. So how did the film?
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to recognize it as well.
Yeah, to accept it, to recognize it, and then to have the ability to be able to say, okay, I can let go of it and I can move on and focus more on what really kind of goes with my passion or whatever it is that I love to do. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So how did the movie oh my God, what is it?
Shahrukh bola khoobsurat hai tu.
Yeah, Shahrukh Bola Khoobsurat hai tu. So how did that movie come about?
My God, I just love that you asked this question, because it was the most bizarre thing of my life. I was sitting at the Prithvi Theatre in Juhu in Mumbai, and I had just come out after watching a really, really harrowing play. My hair was all over the place. It was just a miserable experience to watch that particular play. It was not fun. But here I am sitting in the cafe, just thinking about the last 2 hours of my life. And someone came to me and said, that's Makran Deshpande over there. He's asked me to ask you if you will star in his film. I said, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I looked at Makrand, and he waved at me, and I went up to him and I said, what? And he said, I saw you sitting across the cafe, and I think that you'd be perfect casting. They needed someone who was a roadside flower seller. So he said, you look like the character I need. Will you do this? And I was like, but what about auditioning me? What about? And he said, yeah, we'll audition you, but I'm pretty sure I like this look. So how are you placed? I said, actually, I'm supposed to go. I was dating someone then, and we had bought our tickets to go off to Europe for a holiday in 2 weeks from then. So I said, I'm going off to Europe in 2 weeks, but I suppose I can change that plan. I don't know. And he said, yeah, do it, because we're shooting from next week onwards. Actually, he'd even begun shooting his film, and there was an issue with his cast and things like that. But yeah, that's how it happened.
Wow, that truly is organic. I mean, so had
Yeah.
he seen you, I mean, had he seen you at Prithvi on stage or none of that? And he just saw you looking very harrowed and he decided that you're the one to cast.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. I
wow.
mean, I had never done anything. I was helping someone on production at that time for another play. I mean, I was there for a holiday pile. There was nowhere he could have seen me. There was nothing. It was meant to be that I was to spend the next decade of my life in Bombay, and Makrand was the channel that made it happen.
Wow, that's quite a story. Wow. And so when you went
Yeah.
because you had no screen experience, when you the first day of shoot, do you have any recollection of how it was? I mean, how did that day kind of pan out for you?
It all happens so fast. Oh my God, I'm loving that you're asking me all this. I've not thought about these things in about 15 years. But it all happened so fast. He said, are you on? I said, okay, tomorrow we can meet at the office. I was on then. He said, and all this while my mother was also getting very stressed out. She said, she's sitting in Delhi. She said, listen, we don't know how do these things pan out. We've heard such horror stories and this, that, and the other. My sister knew Makrand, and she said, he's a lovely man, and please don't worry about anything and all of that. And it was true. He held my hand from the day I signed that contract, and he didn't let me feel scared for even a minute. Everything, I did a fight sequence. I had one. fight master who came, taught me. I did a choreographed dance number. I had to lip sync the song. These were all things I had never even imagined, but Makran just didn't let me. Firstly, it all happened so fast. I didn't have a minute to feel scared about it because there wasn't a minute to think about it. Secondly, he just didn't let me feel alone, you know. Even if I was in front of the camera, it was like he was there. And my co-actor Sanjay Dadich, he was also so wonderful. It just, yeah, it was the
Yeah,
team really.
that does make a lot of a lot of difference, and also I mean, I agree. If you're suddenly thrown into the deep end and you don't know how to swim, you just you just somehow do it because you have to
Swim.
save yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then if you have like a good team supporting you, that's just that is half the battle won. So, and of course, clearly you had the
Yeah.
talent because that's what would have shown on screen. And I guess that was the beginning of your journey, right?
Yes, really. It was the beginning of my journey.
Okay, let me put it this way. So, you may have had an experience which clearly, from what you're saying, was pretty natural, and it just slipped in, and it everything went so wonderfully. But then, did you have you also had an experience which has been like super challenging for you, and you've like got into it and said, "Oh my God, how am I going to handle this one?"
Yeah, I did. I was doing a short film where and it was for an NGO, and I had to play a prostitute. And we went into all the brothels of Mumbai, and we were um, meeting people, it was very tough. It was very tough to have those conversations, and it was very tough to, you know, it's like you live in a in in your own world, and one hears about other worlds and one sees things about other worlds, but to actually feel those other worlds in their flesh. I was just talking to my to the girl who cleans the house. Actually, she's kind of new, and she said, "Oh, you act in films and stuff, right? I was watching all your work the other day." And she told me about this one short film she saw, Payal. And that was one where it took us 6 days to shoot in various slums of Bombay. Now, every day we were going to two slums a day in and around Bombay, and every day the slums would just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And I was telling Rita, finally by the last day, we were in this slum. It was massive, massive, massive. The problem is that not one house had a toilet. So everybody just comes out of their home and they take a dump right outside the home. As a result of which, can you imagine, in the monsoon, you've just basically got
Yeah,
an acre of land of wet human feces, and
yeah,
everybody is walking in that, everybody is living in that. And there I was with my feet in that as well. And the footwear I was wearing was open, okay? It was sandals, it wasn't shoes. And that was difficult for me. And it was difficult for me to accept that here we are, all of us walking bare feet, all of them living in that. Um, and it's difficult, yeah. It's difficult to acknowledge that this actually exists and to see it in the flesh and not be able to do something about it,
mm, yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that must have been quite an experience for you. Firstly, you have to uh, in the film you had to be someone like that, and then to see it all around you must have been emotionally quite disturbing as well for you. Wow.
Yes, it really was. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Hmm. Okay, so to something happier now. What is pickle shickle?
So, pickle. This is the thing about my life. Everything just happens so randomly. So I was sitting, my mom used to come to Bombay to visit my sister and me, and she used to make this pork pickle for us and all of our friends. And on very popular demand, every trip she would be making 10, 15, 20 kilos. This was a recipe my grandmother used to make
Like
and we grew
yeah,
up on.
yeah.
So, you know, at some point, my friends started getting very awkward. They were just like, how can we keep asking your mom to make us this pickle? This is very awkward. Why can't we pay her and she can make it? And my mom said, nothing doing. I'm not having your friends pay me to make them pickle. That's ridiculous. Anyway, one Bombay monsoon, no work was really happening. And I have this problem. I need to keep doing something. I like to keep myself occupied all the time.
I can
So
see,
my
I can see your body language. Clearly, you're someone who can't sit still.
Yes, my mom's pandit told my mother this when he was reading my Janam Patri years ago. He was just like, "ये बहुत चंचल है, इनको स्थिर रखिए." Means she's really, she's too,
Excitable.
yeah,
Yeah.
calm her down, ground her somehow. Anyway, so my sister and I are sitting in our living room on this very heavy monsoon day, and I'm like, Prerna, nothing is happening. Why don't we start selling these pickles? Everybody wants them. We should just start selling them. And she said, have you lost your mind? We don't even know how to make it. I said, let's see, no. So I put up on my Facebook status file, I said, we are selling pork pickle. I made up a figure. Who wants to buy? I had 40 orders within 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh shit, this is turning real. I called my mother and I said, Mama, quickly give me the recipe. I need to make this damn pickle now. People are buying it. So on the phone, she told me how to make it. My first batch was terrible. Second batch was terrible. Third batch was like how my mom used to make it. And we sold it to all our friends. Um, Another friend was running a little pop-up. Artisanal stuff is what she focused on. And she said, why don't you all put your jars there? That time we used to write all our, on post-its, we used to write our pickle name and what date it was made and all. And she said, I can't have that. Why don't you just make some heavy labels and let's see. So I got a friend of mine, Valeria Polyanchko. I still can't pronounce her name, and she's a dear friend. But she overnight made me the cutest labels for three kinds of pickles we were doing that time. Actually, it was only pork. For this pop-up, I said, okay, let's do chicken and let's do lotus stem. And there it was. As they say, we never looked back. After that, I got my licenses. Then Bombay was not big. My home in Bombay was not big enough for these pickles anymore. So then I moved to Delhi. I employed both my parents who are divorced. And so I take both their staff individually. I take both their lives individually. And here we are.
Oh, wow. So then
And
the pickles get made in Delhi.
yes,
And
in my dad's house in Delhi, and we dispatch them from my mom's house in Delhi, and now we sell across the country. We're even in America actually on a website called Trendia. Yeah, so it's really becoming something, and it's wild. It's amazing.
oh, wow. I mean, from acting to pickles is like so diverse. And
Right? Who would have thought it?
yeah. No, but how exciting is that? So now how many different flavors do you have? Just three or more?
No, we have nine now. Yeah, we have nine flavors now,
Wow.
and yeah.
So is Singapore on your list of
Gosh, I really want to be able, yeah, of course it is. It's on my wish list of places that to get this to. You see, I'm not, I a part of me is an admin person, but for to actually run a company, I really had to train my mind and my body as well, actually. Because there's a different discipline that is needed to run a company, and there's a different mindset that's needed. So I'm working on that as well. It's really been a workout for the last 2 or 3 years. So now that I'm really in the swing of it, I now know better how to handle paperwork and administration and licenses in other countries. But yeah, it's a switch. It doesn't just happen.
yeah, and also if you've always been a creative person, it's a very different dynamic to be a business woman versus so I could call you an entrepreneur as well, you know? So
Yes.
yeah, it's completely a different dynamic. And that's so kind of heartening to see that you stop at nothing. And, you know, and I kind of, I can get that because that's the kind of person I am as well.
I
One
know. I
is that
know.
I am a nomad. I mean, like you, I don't know where home is, honestly. And the second thing is that even I kind of, I don't hesitate to, if there is something that I set my mind to do, I may know nothing about it, but I just go ahead and do it. Because if you don't experience it, then you don't really, there shouldn't be regret. You may not be successful at it, but if you don't do it, you may regret it down the line, saying that, oh my God, I should have, who knows, what if, you know, all those what if.
Absolutely.
Yeah, should. So I mean, I completely understand where where you're coming from, and that's so exciting to hear. And I'm sure, you know, Pickle Shickle is going places. So is that
Thank
now in terms of time distribution? How much of your time is actually spent on Pickle Shickle, and how much of it is spent on your on the arts, in terms of acting, in terms of your production house?
So, the truth is that I was not successful at my production house. And so it's just parked on the side. I do a project once in a while just to keep it running, just so that there's some sort of income there. I don't make anything of it. It's just it's for the people who are working at it constantly. It just takes care of itself. I'm not really paying attention to it as such. Pickle takes up most of my time. In a day it would take up about, if I had to quantify, it would take up about 6 or 7 hours. But as I said, I've also just studied to be a drama therapist, and
Yeah.
that's also deeply where my passion lies. Because I just know that it's so helpful to people who, not everybody is made for the talking kind of therapy. You Some people thrive in other areas, and having been through a messy childhood myself, a very messy childhood actually, I feel like it is my responsibility to be there for others who come from broken homes, who couldn't deal with their broken homes, and who didn't find respite in therapy as such. So a lot, and I'm making I'm designing a module that combines improv in theater with drama therapy, so that other people can actually work it as well and apply it. And they can use this. This is going to, of course, be certified eventually by big people in the education world. So yeah, there's a lot of setting up of all of this that's happening. My so gosh, my time is really divided. I now sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night, and I'm trying to make that enough because I also want to have a little fun. I make sure I party 2 or 3 times a week as well. So my time is really, it's not structured, but it's very equally divided depending on what is needed when.
Okay, that's interesting. And yeah, I mean, with drama therapy is something which is getting very popular is not the right word, but it's getting recognized because
Recognized, yes.
it does help. You know, it helps because it's expression. Being able to it's being able to forget about your situation and just be free and express. And you know, it's a way, I guess, of also grounding a person. I mean,
And
uh,
yes, 100%, 100%.
okay.
Also, it's a really powerful tool in changing the neurological path of a thought, a reaction, or a trigger. So it's really like physically you are breaking a trigger and you're breaking a pattern.
Yeah.
mainly. And
Yeah.
I think it's so important to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's really amazing. And I think it's something that obviously I can hear the passion, and you're obviously work. And if you had a personal experience, then I think the way you would perceive it, because you've already experienced, because you said you come from a broken home, and so you haven't had the best childhood, so for you to then empathize and understand how another person with a similar kind of emotional emotional whatever the term is, I think it makes you would obviously be able to give it that much more, because it's also very personal for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And empathy is the one you hit. That's the nail on its head. Empathy. That's all we need
Yeah,
to
completely.
understand each other.
Completely. And I mean, as I understand, sympathy and empathy are so different from each other, and the approach is,
Absolutely.
and yeah, I mean, I completely get that. Yeah, wow. So has acting taken a backseat?
Again, the truth is that I wish it wouldn't take a back seat. I audition like a crazy person. I send my auditions from Goa, but nothing seems to have worked out in the last several months. And it used to bother me earlier, and it used to really it bothered me. It just bothered me. But I'm beginning to understand that there's a bigger plan, and I have no control over it. And so I don't like to say that it's taken a back seat, because if I had a choice, it would not take a back seat. I mean, if I had a good show to shoot, I would be on a plane right now to Bombay, to do it. But uh, I suppose you asked me such a simple question and just look at me rambling away
No,
to
but it
find the right answer for it.
no, but this goes to show that, I mean, I feel that there is something, so obviously, if none of these auditions have worked out, there is something out there which is still waiting for you, because given which will be something that you will be getting on a plane and ASAP for. I just feel that
Thank you.
sometimes yeah, timing is everything, and sometimes if
Yeah,
in
and
fact maybe.
the universe probably picks up. Sorry.
Yeah, no, no, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but go ahead. I want to hear it from you. Yeah.
Just that the universe, I don't know, picks up on our focus points and does what it thinks is necessary for that time. So I'm not arguing with the universe anymore. I'm done with that. I used to argue a lot. I used to defy it a lot, but it is what it is. And yeah, I mean, it's just whatever the plan is will work out. But I don't want to say that it's taken a back seat, because it hasn't. It's very much in my heart and in the fore right now. Uh, but physically, there's nothing to shoot or nothing to do. I'm auditioning, so in that sense, it's not taken a back seat.
Yeah,
I'm doing my scenes and I'm doing my lines and I'm doing my part.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just no one's watching it, and that's the only difference between you know
How do you know no one's watching it? You don't say that. But do you think being in Bombay, I mean, I don't know, does it really matter if you're there on ground versus if you're, is it like an out of sight, out of mind kind of?
I think so.
It is. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Have you looked at outside of Hindi cinema? Have you looked at regional cinema as well? Which, I mean, from what I understand, like I was chatting with Tanmay a couple of days ago, and I know he's a friend of yours, and he was,
And we did Made in Heaven.
and you
He
did
played my husband in Made in Heaven.
oh, what, which episode was it?
Episode 6, where this girl had to marry a tree. So I was the girl who had to marry the tree, and Tanmay was my fiance who was not happy about the idea of marrying a tree.
Oh gosh. Okay, I have to revisit that episode again to now try and make a connection, because now I know you and I know him as well. Not that, I mean, your character, so it's different from who you are in real life. But yeah, no, so Tanmay was mentioning that he's like recently done a Malayalam film. And we, of course, were talking about Bengali, and that, I mean, when it's out, you should listen to it, and I'm sure he's going
I
to
was.
listen to your chat as well with me. So is that something that you've thought about doing
I
regional?
have. I did want to explore South Indian cinema a lot, also because I absolutely love it. I think they're geniuses, the work that they make there. But I don't even know how I would begin or how to approach it. I've never been good at this. I've never been good at making a business out of my acting.
Hmm.
Or, yeah, I mean, just approaching the right people, knowing the right places to go. I've never been good at that. It's really been something that's happened organically,
Yeah.
and I kind of like that. I like that I'm not chasing anything to make it happen, and so whatever does end up happening ends up being such a wonderful story, and it becomes a part of me. Made in Heaven, for example, I'm actually Manglik. So my Pandit had told my mother, I mean, I don't believe in all this. My mother had my Janam Patris read many years ago and all of that, but I was told I should be marrying a tree before a man in real life.
So
So
it
it's just,
actually happened in Made in Heaven.
I didn't actually marry the tree, but yeah, I mean, uh, you know,
Yeah.
I was
I mean,
told I should.
you were told you should. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
So,
so, and this is what's really interesting to me about every character I've played, no matter what it is, whether it's stage, camera, anything, it's just happened organically, and it's been a part of me. It's been a part of yeah, my story, and it's been really cool like that. So I wouldn't even know how to begin approaching regional cinema or anything. It would be great if I'm taking a walk here in Goa next week and someone meets me and I'm like, oh, I'm an actor and I want to do this. And yeah, but I wouldn't know how to go to someone's office to approach
think
something like this.
you speak from your heart, and I think I think yeah, I mean, you're just who you are. And I mean, and that's what I've picked up from talking to you, and that's so it's so nice to hear. It's so genuine. I think, a lot of people, yeah, it's great to chase dreams, but to be able to do it, I mean, a lot of people, you're absolutely right, have that business acumen. They'll have a PR or a agency or a manager, and it all works in a framework. But then it takes away, some people, of course, like Tanmay. I don't know why I keep giving Tanmay as an example. Maybe because you guys know each other. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
he was saying that for him, there were a couple of web series that he declined because he so believed in this Malayalam project that he was doing, and even though there was more money on the other side, he just wanted to do this and not walk away from it because it meant so much. So I think, and I think that's what makes both you and him so genuine. And when it's like that, things do happen, and things happen organically. And I'm a great believer in that. I think it's, you just have to stay positive, have fun with what you're doing. And I think it's incredible. You've got two very diverse things that you're involved in at the moment. And both of them are, especially your drama therapy, so is such a stimulant, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's wonderful to hear. So
I
any,
think most
yeah,
importantly, I'm just not missing anything. I'm content where I am. There are times that my bank balance doesn't reflect contentment, uh, but even that's okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm not chasing anything, and
yeah,
I'm comfortable in that.
yeah, yeah. I think the bank balance does not equate to happiness ever. I don't
And that's
believe in that.
true. That is very true. It
I
is
don't think,
very true.
yeah,
But the thing is that the thing is, and I've noticed this actually now after having been through a long and large spectrum of being on either end of this scale, which is yes, happiness was not something that was a derivative of money, but but stress and sadness was when there was a lack of it. And it's really nice to now understand that it's so fleeting whether it comes or goes, and it doesn't matter you
yeah.
know yeah,
And
it's
I
it's
feel
it's
it,
really an understanding.
yeah, I feel it comes back,
Yes.
it's because it's not, you as a being, you as a person is who you are, and it's not like a moving part, you
Yeah,
know.
and I never understood that, Payal. I really never understood that. My mother used to tell me when I was growing up, and this is exactly what she used to tell me. I never got it. I now truly get it, and it's such a beautiful realization.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, oh my God, we've completely gone off tangent, but I'm loving it. I don't have, I mean, that's what melting pot is all about. It's about conversations where, it's not curated, it's very free flow, and it's a chat, and at the end of every chat, invariably, I would say 99% of my guests from whichever part of the world, because I interview people from all walks of life and all parts of the globe doing all sorts of different things. Everyone has said we need to stay connected. And to me, that's fulfilling. Yes, the number of listeners and downloads and all of that is fabulous. And, that's what it's that. The fact that recognition, but for me, I think the biggest recognition is that I have people who want to stay connected with me on a personal level, and that is just so beautiful,
And
and
that's also coming from just every question you've asked me, even though we didn't know much about each other before this conversation, every conversation you've asked me has led to one more string being pulled in my heart. You've asked me things I've not thought about in so many years, and I'm feeling so wonderful right now. I cannot tell you. This has been
oh,
such a beautiful conversation. And
thank
thanks to you, actually.
Thank you. I mean, I hope I haven't kind of reminded you of stuff that you did not want to be reminded of.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, that's good. I've honestly, genuinely had such a blast talking to you. Thank you
Me too.
so much, Prithika. Thank you. Prithika, what does it really mean?
Ooh, again, see, again, you've done it. You've asked me a question I
Oh.
love. So, okay, do you want to know the meaning, like the general meaning, or do you want to know my version?
I want to know. Okay, maybe both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to know. So then we can put it in context, right? So yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to know
fine.
both. Yeah.
So, Preeti means love, and Ka was put there so that it wouldn't sound common. Um, because Preeti is I mean, lots of people are Preetis,
Right.
not too many are Pritikas. So, my sister at the age of 4 thought, let's do this. She named me.
Okay.
But my version is that Preeti means love and Ka is a sutra that joins, that connects everybody. So I am the sixth element and the sutra of love that connects the world.
Ooh, I like your version of it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, most definitely, because your version has, it's more, can I say romantic? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more romantic. Nice.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, thank you so much for for chatting with me. I know it's what time is it for you? 1 o'clock, 1:30?
Yeah, 1:30. 1:30.
1:30.
That's all right.
Yeah, and I've let's stay in touch and good luck with Pickle, Shickle, and I absolutely love the name.
Thank
And
you.
and also I'm sure, and with your the module that you're working on, and I'm sure it's going to get accredited pretty soon.
That's a tongue twister word right there.
Yeah, seriously, yeah, and yeah, but anyways, whatever. I tried. So, um, and also, I'm sure all these auditions that you're doing, something fabulous is gonna come through very, very soon.
Thank you, Payal. You've been so sweet and so gentle and kind. Really, this has been such a lovely. We 45 minutes, by the way, we've been chatting. This is so overtime for your podcast,
No,
but
it's fine. It doesn't matter. I think what's more important is that we've managed to. You've shared so much, and I think for my listeners, it's going to, because you've given so many different dimensions and understanding of things, that I'm sure it's going to be really, really good for my listeners to get to know you better, plus also reflect on what you've said, and maybe they will, even if it's one thing, I'm sure they'll take something away from all that you've had to share. So thank you so
hope so. Thank you again.